All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the wait. All right. Thanks for listening. Okay. We are going to go over some questions for UFC Vegas 32. And we're also going to talk about basically whatever comes up. Hey, what's up? All right, so let's get to it here. I'm going to share our screen. Sorry, I got a new setup here, so kind of just working with things as we go. Here we go. All right. So follow along at on Twitter, on Instagram, even on TikTok, Combat Odds HQ, and then tons of content. We'll be putting out our preview for about 4 of the fights on this card on combatodds.ca tonight or late tomorrow morning. And if you want all the best bets, patreon.com, Combat Odds HQ, and we'll still have some free picks though that we'll be giving out. And if you like this setup here, a new thing that we have is we just got a promo link with StreamYard. This show is supported by StreamYard. The whole setup is supported by StreamYard. And if you like what you see here, you want to do something like this for yourself, tinyurl.com, Combat Odds HQSY. I think you get like $10 off. And you support us by signing up for that. So yeah, let's get right into it. We got a question here from Dan Goldstein. What do I think of Ian Heinisch? Here we go. What do I think of Ian Heinisch by finish here? 6-1 by KO, 12-1 by submission. Undersized. Williams clipped Imavov. Yeah, I mean, I haven't fully looked into this yet. I kind of lean Imavov here, but strictly just a value play. I don't think he looked very good against Calvin Gastelum, but from going back and looking at Nasruddin Imavov, his last fight, he didn't look very good either. So I don't know. I honestly would have to look into that a little bit more, which I can do right now. I'm going to look at Ian Heinisch. I think I got him in my database here. Let's see how many times he's won inside the distance. So he's about a minus 150 favorite. I see him against Imavov. He's never been finished. He's won two of his 7 fights in the UFC inside the distance, plus 0.24 units on the inside the distance prop. He's more of like a grinder, right? More of like a guy who just grinds you out. I would be more just a complete gut call. I would probably just lean the money line there if I was going to bet Heinisch. I don't think I can't say yes or no if I'm going to. But to me, honestly, when you have a favorite at that price, and minus 150 isn't the best, but when you have a favorite at that price, you're better off if you think they're going to win inside the distance. You're better off just betting your guy and then taking the under in a separate bet, because something I've talked about a lot on Bloodshed and on our the final countdown with Bleed. You want to do an inside the distance bet is kind of like a correlated parlay where you're betting the money line and fight goes the distance. No, you're better off to split that up. You have more of a chance of making that a more of an uncorrelated bet if you have a separate bet on the money line and then a separate bet on the under, the chances of making money on if your guy goes out there and gets clipped, you're still going to cash on the under. You know what I mean? Like it's just that I personally, and I always talk about those inside the distance props quite a bit. But when I talk about that, I'm talking more about I just don't like betting those correlated props as much. Sometimes you have to if it's like a minus 300 favorite or something like that. But honestly, if you personally feel like you think this fight's going to not go the distance and Heinisch is going to win, you're looking at plus 180 under 2.5 rounds and plus 160 fight goes the distance no. So I mean, I would lean that way, to be honest, and that's just strictly off of looking at the line, basically. Okay, next question from Brian Rodriguez. How do I see Brendan Allen fight playing out? Oh man, Punahele Soriano is a dog. This looks like it's going to be a great fight. It's looking like pretty much just a straight up pick 'em here. I don't know. I think after Soriano's last fight, you're probably getting some value here at like minus 107 against Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen's Brendan Allen's a savage, as they say. But man, I think I bet against Soriano in his last fight, and I remember saying, like, I'm not going to make this mistake again. Brendan Allen is a tough matchup. I don't think I have either of these guys in my database. I got to look into this more. Something that I'll say to you guys is starting this Friday is we're going to be doing live during the weigh-ins, my reactions, and I'll be probably putting out all my final looks. So noon Eastern time, I'll be putting out, I'll be going live. I don't have it set up yet where I can do the like I can have it on the screen. I can show like stills. I can show like pictures of the guys weighing in. I can have pictures of the guys weighing in, and I could probably have stills and like very slow video, but I can't have the full live video. But I'm going to eventually get that. But yeah, we're going to go. It's just, it's low hanging fruit to be going live in the afternoon during the weigh-ins like that. Sit here and chill, and I'll have I'll have an angle on pretty much every fight. This kind of helps us, get a look ahead for the weigh-ins. But yeah, I see Brian Rodriguez that was against Todorovic, but wasn't Soriano a huge underdog in that fight, or a decent sized underdog, and clipped Todorovic and knocked him out brutally? Like, that was pretty impressive, no? I remember betting on Todorovic in that fight and being extremely underwhelmed by his performance and being super impressed by Soriano. That was a killer. That was a killer performance. Knocked him. I think that was the first ever fight on ABC, the first ever UFC fight on ABC. And I remember Soriano was a relatively large underdog. I'm going to check right here. I just honestly feel like, based on that alone, off the top of my head, it's hard to bet against Soriano right here. Like, he's one of those guys that's probably, he's got more to his game than just what we've seen so far. And not taking anything away from Brendan Allen, but I don't know. It's very, very tough to bet against Punahele Soriano. And especially you're getting him at like almost plus money again, minus 107 I'm seeing at 5 dimes. That might be a gift. I don't know. It's a tough call. I'm going to talk about some other fights on this card where I'm going to have more of a clear read. So if anybody else has any other questions, I got some questions that were put in from the Patreon. First one, under the radar fight for UFC Vegas 32. Well, I think that since just tonight, we've seen that the Adrian Yanez Randy Costa fight has been moved up to the main card, which, I mean, if that's true, then I guess it's not really under the radar anymore. But yeah, that's the fight. That's the fight of the night. Wikipedia doesn't say so, but yeah, that's the fight of the night. And, you know, I've said this a couple of times. I've said this a couple of times. It's, you know, Adrian Yanez could be a future champion. Bantamweight is a very tough division, but man, this guy's boxing. He is, like I said, he's got God-given talent, straight up God-given talent. This guy is a treat to watch. His boxing is just on a whole other level. And Randy Costa is very dangerous as well, but he's a wild man. And I think that Yanez's precision striking is going to be, I think it's going to be too much. If Costa comes in there and pressures Yanez and tries to go forward on him, he's going to be in some trouble, I think, because that's Adrian Yanez's game. We haven't seen it a lot because a lot of guys are very, 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 the guys that he's fought have been very hesitant to come forward on him because they're smart enough to know that they're going to get rocked. And like I've said so many times in the lead up to this fight, Yanez is the type of guy who, like, he's just thinking his level in boxing and his timing and the way that he times your strikes into his combinations. And it's just, he's very, very special. He's the type of guy that if he wasn't in MMA, he could be like a career high level boxer. Like his striking is just that good. And again, not taking anything away from Randy Costa, but Randy Costa's, I don't think he's going to sit there and wait out Adrian Yanez. And he's been known to be a wild man in there. His two wins, I think, are in the first round against Boston Salmon and Jeremy Newsom. But the thing, he's a wild man. He's got winging shots. He just goes out there with his head down, and it's worked for him. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like this is the type of guy where they're kind of giving Yanez a guy, I wouldn't say on a platter because that's super disrespectful to Randy Costa, but at the same time, like, I don't know, his striking is just on a whole other level. And this is a fight where I don't think this fight goes the distance. And I know it's a pretty steep it's a pretty steep price, but fight goes the distance no, and this fight is a really good look because one of these guys is going out, and this is another one, for example, like if you were on Adrian Yanez here, you're probably better off. That's hard to say because minus 175 on Yanez is pretty steep, but yeah, this fight's going to be really good. Gambling aside, this fight's going to be really good. Okay, so we got another question here. On Bet365 is if a fight goes to a draw, you get your money back. Is that with all betting websites? It depends. There's some sites that have the draw, like it's a 3-way result. There's some like European sites where you have to be very careful with how you when you make a bet. This is more geared towards boxing because in boxing there's quite a lot of draws, because there's 12 rounds. So a lot of the time you'll see like 6 rounds to 6. And in boxing, most of the time the odds are laid out in the 3-way. It used to be like that with MMA, like way back in the day, but it's not like that anymore. Yeah, if the draw isn't listed in the selections and the fight's a draw, then yeah, you'll get your money back. Unless the draw is listed in the selections, then you'll get your money back. It's a difference between, it's like soccer. It's a difference between like a 3-way bet and a 2-way bet. Okay, so Dan Goldstein, Giannis is going to measure Costa and clip him late, first or early second round. Honestly, that's, yeah, I'm right with you. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I just feel like Costa, he in his two performances in the UFC, well, I think in his first performance in the Contender Series when he knocked that guy out in like 24 seconds, that guy came rushing in and Giannis just destroyed him. The problem with that is that Costa is super tough, right? So I don't know if we're going to see a first round finish, but I don't think this fight goes the distance. And again, I'm not totally ruling out that Costa can knock out Adrian Yanez. But if this fight goes, the longer this fight goes, the more it goes towards Yanez, because he's so precise. His precision striking is just, everything he does is so effective and so efficient. Whereas Costa's just going out there and probably only has 2 good rounds in him. In the third round, he's probably just going to be in survival mode against a guy who's just, a super high level boxer, like who has just, I've said it a bunch of times, God-given talent. Like he's on the level, his boxing skill is on the level of like Jorge Masvidal. And I even said like almost even like Dustin Poirier, just his ability to use his opponent's striking in the way that he times his striking. It's right out there. Randy Costa says he would fight. I mean, if Costa loses, yeah, I bet you they might give him that. But besides that, I don't know. See, what me and Bleed were saying is Yanez versus Sean O'Malley would be an amazing fight, right? Because Sean O'Malley has like more traditional MMA striking. He's really unorthodox, whereas Yanez is very traditional boxing style. Like, and not to say that he's not a good MMA fighter. He is. He's got a pretty good grappling game, but his boxing is just, like I said, he could be a pro boxer if he wanted to. Yeah. Another one from Dan. Do you think that bookies aren't taking Maycee Barber knee into consideration? Why is the line getting more favorable to her? MMA is the only sport that knee injuries are overlooked in comebacks. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me about Maycee Barber's knee. I don't know. I'm very, very high on Miranda Maverick. And if Maverick is going out there to take on Maverick is the type of, she's like a super high level prospect, right? Like she is the truth. Maycee Barber is like one of those like Sage Northcutt type fighter where like her reputation is a lot better than who she actually is as a fighter. You look at who she's fought in her come up, and they're all 4 of her fights were finishes. All 4 of her wins in the UFC were finishes. Miranda Maverick, she's the type of fighter that the longer the fight goes, the more it's in her favor. And I know that Maycee Barber is extremely tough, so I'm kind of ruling out the chance of Maverick finishing her. But you compare these two, their striking, their grappling is probably more closer than most are probably giving Maycee Barber credit for. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I think that if you were to ask me what's the most confident play that I have on this card, I'd probably answer to you it's Maycee Miranda Maverick, because I don't think she's as good as I don't think Maycee Barber is as good as what her reputation has laid out for her. I'm on Maverick already, but the line might flip, make her the dog. Yeah, like I've told a bunch of people, if I hear that if I hear that if I see that Miranda Maverick is an underdog, I'm gonna have to, usually I don't bet more than one unit on a play, but like Miranda Maverick as an underdog against Macy Barber, and it did open with um it did open with Maverick as like a large underdog, and the line corrected immediately. But if we can get Maverick here as a at plus money, man, we're like that's I won't say bet of the year because last week Mateusz Gamrot over Jeremy Stevens was 100% the bet of the year, but Maverick right here at even at this price at like minus 120, I'll eat my words if Macy Barber comes out here and looks. She has to look better. If she looks the same that she looked in her last 6 fights, she's going to lose because what we've seen in Maverick's 2 fights in the UFC versus what we've seen from Barber in her 6 fights, she's scrappy, she's tough. But that go back and I just say this: go back and watch her against Alexa Grasso, period, and watch her spin kick air and punch from 10 feet away shadow box. If she does that against Maverick, she's going to lose. TJ Dillashaw is getting plus 162 on Bet365. Any value on that? I don't know. You're guessing because TJ Dillashaw has been away for 2 years and had to take EPO to get back to where he was after cutting, or no, yeah, I guess, no, he had to take EPO to cut down to 125 pounds to fight Henry Cejudo, and that's where he got pinched. And if I feel like it's the psychology of if you have to take drugs to, or not, if you have to take PEDs to get, to have the confidence to fight, now that he doesn't have it, I don't know. Corey Sandhagen is really good, man, and these guys know each other. They were Team Elevation teammates, and I gotta give. I think Sandhagen wins this fight. I think more of the value is on the under or fight goes the distance. No, I don't know. You're guessing. It's similar to like Misha Tate last week. You're guessing if he's going to look as good. You're guessing because we haven't seen him, and it's all based on who knows. We're going to know that USADA's cracked down on him heavier. So who knows if he's who knows what he was doing prior to that, right? Like who knows what he was doing prior to getting pinched. He could have been doing more. I'm not going to say that, but it's totally different if the microscope is on him. And I just think that this is the type of comeback. If he was like 28 years old and was coming back now at 30 and wasn't using PEDs anymore, it'd be a completely different story. But on the wrong side of 35 or just turning 35 and going down to bantamweight, he's a pretty small guy. But against Corey Sandhagen, who's a big bantamweight and a younger guy, he's got everything in front of him. I think that I don't know. I don't think the value's on Dillashaw. If Barber gets on top, she'll elbow Maverick into submission. I don't think she can get on top, and she does. I think that Maverick is more elusive in her bottom game. Like if you go and watch even in that first round against Modafferi, when Barber got on top of her, Modafferi was able to get out of it. And I think Miranda Maverick has got a better bottom game than Modafferi. There was wrestling. The wrestling is comparable in my opinion. And Maverick isn't small either. She's more well-rounded in my opinion too, as you said earlier. I don't know. I don't think we've seen. You have to go back and look at her like Invicta fights to see her wrestling game. I don't think we've seen it enough because her two fights. And then another thing was with Jillian Robertson. She I think there's a rumor, and I don't know if this is true, but I thought that I saw somewhere that she trained with Jillian Robertson in the lead up to this fight against Macy Barber, and that's interesting because they both fought Jillian Robertson and both beat them. Yeah, that's interesting. I just think that she's all around a better fighter, and if I don't think that Macy Barber has a smart enough fight IQ to go after Miranda Maverick's weaknesses, because again, her one path to victory was to grapple and take down and to go up against the cage with Alexa Grasso, and she was throwing spin kicks from 10 feet away and shadow boxing from 10 feet away against her, just giving up rounds. And then in that third round, when she was down 2-0, she had to get a finish. What did she do? She got 2 takedowns. And it's just like, what are you doing? Is that you're trying to go for a moral victory? You're going to lose. You might have won. A lot of people tell me like, oh yeah, Macy Barber won that third round. It doesn't matter. That was dumb of her to, wrestle and lay and pray in that third round against Alexa Grasso. That's why she lost the fight. Any value on Elkins? Honestly, we talked about this. I'm gonna put the video out, the clipped video out from Saturday night. We talked about this. How do you bet against Derek Minner? Derek Minner he's from the type of guy who has just all been first round finishes, first round or bust, and then to see how he looked in that last fight. Who was that last fight against? Charles Rosa, right? And just grinding out a decision, like a 2-1 decision. That was super impressive, and he's a favorite here. And Darren Elkins is the type of guy where his path to victory is to stand and bang. And I think that Derek Minner coming out there, and I think it's going to be a boring decision win for Derek Minner, and it's going to be the type of fight that'll probably be like, a lot of people will be like, this is a terrible fight, but if you have money on Derek Minner, it's going to be, this is a great fight, and this is totally just a gut call. I haven't done the numbers yet, but yeah, I'm super high on it, especially you're still able to get like minus 150 some places. I like that a lot. I like even minus 125 on the over. Again, just a strict gut call. No, I'm not. This is not advice. It's fried rice. But yeah, I like both of what I just said there. Minner money line and the over here, because I think he's a smart enough fighter that he's just going to go out there and play to his strengths. Whereas Darren, he's the damage. He's going to. His path to victory is to stand and bang. And Darren Elkins is the type of guy who he can't afford to do that in this stage in his career. He's going to go out there and have the smart IQ fight. Capping strictly off the past, fighters improved. Yeah, I understand that fighters improve, but what I like to do is, and I'll talk about this many, many times, the many times that we do this show, I like to cap fighters based on the measure of expectation, their performance versus the measure of expectation. And I've had success doing it. The success, it's proven. And sometimes I've seen it before. Look we were on Volkov against Cyril Gahn. Sometimes you just have to eat it and say, you know what, we were wrong. This guy's better than we thought he was. We just haven't seen it yet. But measuring based on the measure, like going on handicapping based on the measure of expectation, it's what you see is what you get. And that's why we're able to pick up big dogs. And that's why we're able to, you can't be right all the time. It's different than picking a winner versus the value, so I understand that it's just not how I cap. That can be the way that you do it. It's just not the way that I do it. Some people are better at bleed. Bleed is awesome at projecting, how people have improved. And I personally am just better at weighing fighters against the expectation, and the expectation is the betting line, I don't think that Minner. Good call, Jody. I don't think that Minner. I think he's going to win by decision, and I think that there's good enough value to just bet straight up Minner Minner on the money line, and over 2.5 rounds at -125. Yeah, I know he only has 4 UFC fights, but he had like a full career outside of the UFC. He's been around for quite a while. I'm gonna look it up actually. Yeah, he's had a lot of fights outside of the UFC. He's not a young guy. Yeah, he was in the man. He's in the LFA, DCS. I don't even know what that is. Hard Knocks, RFA, DCS. Yeah, I understand. The guy has 3 fights in the UFC. He had 1 fight that he lost against Herbert Burns in Dana White's Contender Series. The guy has 37 professional fights. 3 fights in the UFC. Yes, I understand that. The guy has 37 professional fights. 22 wins by submission, 3 wins by decision, 1 knockout. The guy has been around for quite a while. He's 31. He's just a journeyman, right? Like he's we haven't seen him much in the UFC, but this type of guy, there's a lot of tape on him. If you search up Derek Minner on YouTube, the guy has been in a ton of fights, lots of fights. That's not a bad idea. That's something that I would try to used to do. I don't know though, because what if he somehow like TKOs him? Yeah, that's the problem though, man. He's like Nate. He's like Nate Diaz. He takes a bunch of punches. He takes a couple of punches and he's just cut up. I don't know. To me, honestly, this is just the classic wrestler versus brawler, and I feel like Minner he's got James Krause in his corner too. I just feel like he's gonna go out there and not play to Elkin's strengths, and I'm this is now that I haven't even looked at the numbers yet, but I already know that I'm going to be on Derek Minner, and I already know that this is, if I had a little bit more time, this would have been one of those gut call plays for me. UFC is the big league. Yeah, but honestly, more and more with the way that the UFC is cutting fighters, there's just more and more the parity outside of the UFC. It's not the way that it was about like 2 or 3 years ago, where the UFC was the elite. It's turning now where you got the PFL, Bellator, even the LFA. You even got some good guys that go to like the XMMA or whatever, those weird promotions, and even go there and get like 2 regional scene fights and come back. Look at Brendan Moreno. He got cut, went to the LFA, came back. It's not like how it used to be. There's more parity in the in the regionals and the alternate promotions. And to be honest, you're kind of doing a disservice to yourself as a handicapper by not paying attention to them, because there's a lot of guys that you, when we see them come in, like Matus Gamrot, for example, home run spot, because you compare the type of guys that Gamrot fought versus Jeremy Stevens, and the type of guys that Gamrot fought was like he was like a minus 400 favorite in some of those fights. If you know who he is and you know his level of competition, you compare him to a guy like Jeremy Stevens, you're just like, sign me up, you know. I bet Elkins has a sprinkle in the third round sub prop. Do you think Krause trained Minner's cardio will hold up? Yeah, I feel like James Krause is probably they're honestly probably just training on the treadmill. Like I bet you the base of this camp was cardio, just pure cardio, you know, like running, like the type of thing where you go and you'd run 25 minutes on the treadmill and then go fight 15 minutes, you know. I've been betting every fighter with James Krause in their corner for a while, and it's been paying off. He did have one guy that lost recently that had a pretty poor performance, but I feel like apart from that guy that lost, I think, who was it? Was it damn, I forget who it was, but he did have one guy that lost. This will be Elkin's 24th fight. Not saying you're wrong, just saying I see something. Hey man, everybody sees these fights differently. I like to like pinpoint a certain stretch of people's career. So I don't, you kind of, you know, you look at somebody like Nate Diaz, who was like a killer. Is he a killer now? No. You know, is he still super entertaining? Yeah, but I like to like take like 8 fight stretches or like a 4 or 5 year stretch, and that's what I focus on. What, you know, everybody does things differently. Sometimes I'll make a bet that it's based strictly on the value. So everybody does it differently. Bellator sucks. I do like PFL. Bellator is cool sometimes, man. They got a big one coming up next Friday with McKee and Pitbull. Probably one of the biggest fights in Bellator history. If you know what you're looking for, Bellator is cool. You just gotta pick your spots. Sometimes it's brutal. Sometimes it's all right, though. To be fair, no one thought Stevens would have taken the easy way out. Yeah, that was like I said on Saturday night. That was just too easy, man. That was just too easy. Elkin's last 4 losing streak to some killers. I mean, Nate Landwehr is not really a killer. He's just that's the type of guy that like Darren Elkins could have won that fight. He just chose to stand and bang with Nate Landwehr. Derek Minner is not going to do that. You know, like he's got too much on the line, right? Like I don't know. Volkanovski, is that true? Honestly, I haven't even looked at when did he fight Volkanovski? In like 2019? And he also fought Tapura, right? Or not Tapura, Ryan Hall. Yeah, Ryan Hall. I remember that fight. He threw like a spin kick at Ryan Hall. I didn't know he fought Volkanovski. When was that? 2018. July 14th, 2018. Where was I? I don't remember that one at all. I remember Ryan Hall, though. And I remember Nate Landwehr. I don't know. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. I just think that he's a brawler. He's just a straight up brawler, right? If you choose not to brawl against him, your chances are probably a lot better than if you choose to brawl with him. Pretty, yeah. One thing I'll say about this card, there was another question that I got. what is your lock for UFC Vegas 32? Personally, I'd never, ever, ever. I'll post this up if people ask me, but I don't really like to ever say the word lock, obviously. But my most confident play is definitely Miranda Maverick. And then value wise, there's one play here where I don't know much about Elise Reed, but Ciara Eubanks is like a minus 300 favorite in this fight against this UFC newcomer. And I think she's only got like 5 fights to her name. It doesn't matter. Like she shouldn't. Ciara Eubanks should never be a minus. She's 8-8 as a professional. She's got a sub 500 record in the UFC. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm gonna be on the dog there for sure. What else do we got? What do you think of the configuration of this card? The undercard, and we do Gall and Williams as an opener. I don't know. Apparently, if you go and look on Adrian Yanez's Twitter right now, I read before I came on here that they got promoted to the main card. But if I'm looking at Twitter right now, and it's nothing has changed. There was one fight that got taken off, right? There was a heavyweight fight, right, that got taken off, that got moved to next week. What would they? There would have to be a fight that would be switched. Mickey Gall, honestly, he's just one of those people that for some weird reason people know him and like him. People know his name. Like, I don't know. He's been on some big fights. He's been on some big fight cards. Like, wasn't he on that UFC 249, the pandemic fight card? He's I don't know. The UFC likes him. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah. No, he fought in the Poirier Hooker card June 27th. But yeah, still one of those it was like one of the first UFC Apex cards. They like him. I don't know what it is. I honestly have no idea what it is, but they seem to like him. Ciara's top control will win the day, and the books know it. I don't know enough about Elise Reed to say I agree or disagree, but this is still one of those plays that dog or pass no matter what. Like if you're laying minus 300 on Ciara Eubanks, even in a parlay and anything, you need to figure something else out. Like that, it's not like, trust me, there's more value on the other side. Biggest plays of the week are Miranda minus 120 in the main event under 3.5 rounds. Fight not to start round 5. High school's Mickey Gall's training partner named LJ. That's cool, man. Can't say I disagree with fight not minus 152. Yeah, I like that. I also like I said, fight goes the distance no is at like minus 210. That's a good price. You'd have to parlay it up probably, but this fight won't go the distance. These two guys, Sandhagen, let's see, I'll pull it up right here. Sandhagen's won 5 of his 7 wins inside the distance. Dillashaw, 4 of his last 6 wins inside the distance. We saw Dillashaw put out Corey Garbrandt in 7.5 minutes in less than 5 minutes in both fights. And then, look what Corey Sandhagen did to Frankie Edgar. And one thing I keep bringing this up is if Dillashaw is going to try to come in and shoot blindly at any point in this fight, Sandhagen might knee him in the head and win this fight by another gruesome, shocking KO. That's how I whenever, and I'm not really at the level of understanding MMA that most other guys are. But when I envision the way that this fight ends, I envision Dillashaw getting rocked, shooting in blindly, and Sandhagen landing a big knee, and that's how the fight ends. That's just I like the under, and I like fight goes the distance now. But again, like I said at the start of the show, Corey Sandhagen inside the distance probably has some good value, but you're better off that's like I said, you're kind of it's a correlated prop, right? Because if you bet him inside the distance and he wins by decision, it's you kind of kicking yourself. Even inside the distance plus 110, I don't know. Under 2.5 rounds, minus 133. I saw under 3.5 rounds. The line has moved quite a bit because I saw minus three, under 3.5 rounds at like minus 125. Riboli, keep an eye out for him. Cool. Zero value in picking the loser. I'm tired of the more value baloney. Hey man, I respect your opinion, but I've had a ton of luck. Look at Derek Lewis. He was like a plus 400 underdog. Sometimes the value is the way to go. I found an interesting stat. Neither have gone the distance with any opponent who isn't a decision machine. Someone whose fights end a decision 50% or more of the time. Yeah, like I said. So $100 better who's bet on Corey Sandhagen inside the distance in his whole career in the UFC is up $493 with a 5-3 record. And then Dillashaw inside the distance in his last 8 fights, $441. So they're right neck and neck with their return on that inside the distance prop in Sandhagen since 2018 and then Dillashaw since 2014. Dillashaw, the thing about Dillashaw is he's been a pretty huge favorite most of his career, except for obviously one of the biggest upsets in UFC history against Renan Barão. But as far as like his measure against, his performance against the expectation, he's done pretty well. He found, I think he was an underdog, or what, he was the favorite against Cejudo. This is only the 3rd time in his career, I believe, that TJ Dillashaw will come in as the underdog. Nice stat there. Where do you find that info? Now you're talking. CombatOdds.ca, man. That's those are homemade. That's some straight up homemade research there with those inside the distance props. That's what we do. I'll put up the betting trends with these two fighters tonight or early tomorrow morning on the fight preview because I have the whole chart between the two of them. Yes, thank you, John. Appreciate it as well. Yes, thank you, Dirty Rag 22. Okay, I had another question. What was the other question? I'm gonna go for probably about 10 more minutes here. I had another question that was not UFC 2, UFC Vegas 32 related. Here it is. This is from Patreon. Who do you think Islam Makhachev fights next? Honestly, I want him to fight Tony Ferguson next. I don't think that he's going to fight Dan Hooker because Dan Hooker's has lost his last 2 fights, and Makhachev probably wants a guy. Either he wants to end Tony forever or he wants a guy coming off a win. If he wants a guy coming off a win, I think he's going to fight RDA. Otherwise, he's got to fight Tony. He's going to be like a minus 900 favorite against Tony. But he said in his post-fight interview that he was going to finish Tony. which I don't know if that's lost in translation. I don't think it is. He speaks pretty good English, but he said he wanted to finish Tony. So that's the fight I want to see. I had another one, the same guy, Patreon. What's next for Misha Tate? I don't know. I feel like she probably needs another step up, another fight in the mid. Women's bantamweight isn't that deep, so maybe like someone between like 6 and 10, probably Yana Kunitskaya or Irene Aldana. The fight to make is obviously her and Holly Holm, and I don't know. I've seen a lot of people that are saying like she's, this is a Holly Holm shouldn't like try to get this fight. She's on such a roll. I disagree. I feel like it might Misha Tate, as good as she looked against Marianne Renault, she was still like overextending on a lot of those shots, a lot of just straight right hands. I feel like Holly Holm's striking has got a lot better since that fight, the first fight that they had. I don't know. That's a rough one. I honestly, if they fought and Holly Holm was an underdog, I would probably, just as a gut call, be on Holly Holm, because I feel like Holly Holm has gotten way better than the last time that we saw those two faced off. You giving him Cupcake City? Oh, Makachev. Who? I mean, who else? There's nobody else going to take the fight. There's who's going to fight? Chandler. Chandler wants Gaethje. Chandler and Gaethje is a good fight, and I think Gaethje wins that fight easily. But nobody else is going to take that fight. Connor, no one's going to even allow that fight to take place. Yeah, like I said, Dan Hooker wants the fight, but I don't know if Makachev's smart, and I don't know anything, but if Makachev's smart, he doesn't take that fight because he's coming off back-to-back losses. Lost to Chandler and Poirier. It's just I don't know. If Makachev destroys Dan Hooker, I think. Right, guys. And I said this with Bleed. Who is Makhachev not a favorite against in the lightweight division? Honestly, Poirier, probably a pick'em. And then Poirier and Oliveira, probably a pick'em. Everybody else, he's the favorite. No, I know that Tony has lost 3 in a row. It's just that they have history. If you go and look on what Islam Makhachev, I wrote about it on Fansided on Monday on Islam Makhachev's post-fight interview. He said that he wanted to end Tony Ferguson, which he said, where's the quote? Oh, that's another guy. I forgot about that. Beneil Dariush, right? That's the fight. That's the fight, right? Yeah, Beneil Dariush. That's a very interesting fight. I don't know. It's a foregone conclusion what happens with Makhachev and Dan Hooker. Like, I don't know. So Makhachev said about Tony Ferguson, we have good history. Habib was supposed to fight him 5 or 6 times. Let's finish this. I'm going to finish this. I will show people around the world that Tony Ferguson is not at Habib or my level. So Dariush is the credible opponent for sure. I know that Dana apparently said that that's who he wanted him to face, just off the top of his head. Again, I don't know. I mean, Dariush and Gaethje would probably be a really good fight because Dariush is super tough. But Gaethje Makhachev, good fight. Not going to happen anytime soon because Gaethje is not going to fight down. Honestly, you could have a whole podcast just matchmaking for the UFC lightweight division. Like, it's just fantasy. Like, How easy it would be to make right now Connor versus Tony. That fight makes the most sense, you know? And how huge would that fight be? That fight would be just massive. Even like I said, even Makachev Tony, that could easily be a co-main event of a pay-per-view or headline a fight night card. But again, Tony's not headlining no fight night card. He's going to be on a pay-per-view. So it's just every time that they book these fights in the lightweight division, they're like changing the course of the UFC. They're just changing the course of the popularity every single time, you know. I'm a fan of Makachev, just not a fan of the line that everyone's avoiding him. Yeah, you know, city kickboxing rules, but I was super underwhelmed by Hooker's performance against Chandler, and yeah, I don't know. I'm telling you, if Makachev fights Chandler, that's a wrap. I know that they're looking at possibly having a show in Australia at some point, or maybe New Zealand by the end of the year. I don't know how realistic that is. It would obviously be headlined by Adesanya versus Whitaker too, and you probably think that Dan Hooker would want to be on that card. And if it's in the end of the year, like early December, late November, maybe early January 2022, that makes a lot of sense. But I'm telling you, Makachev versus Hooker, foregone conclusion in my opinion. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up very shortly. What else do we got here? Any other questions? Last call for questions. Again, so we're gonna do the UFC Vegas 32 live weigh-in reactions Friday at noon, probably like 11:55. It'll probably be the same thing like this was, where the intro will run for a little bit before I go live, just so I have everything set up so that I'm watching the weigh-in. I'll share the link for a live shot of it. Like I said, I'm probably not going to be able to show the actual weigh-in, but I'll be giving out my picks and my angles for as each guy pretty much gets on the scale. Pretty much going to be doing some live handicapping. Yeah, eventually I'll get it so I'll be able to show the weigh-in, but I don't want to risk screwing up my monetization or anything like that just yet, or my road to monetization just yet. So yeah, we'll go live and we'll share the link to probably MMA Junkie or something like that, so we can do a little watch along, and yeah, that will be super fun. I'm super excited to do that. All right, well, we went an hour, longer than I thought it was going to go. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Super appreciate it. Again, all social media platforms, Combat Odds HQ. And then tonight, I got 5 or 6 videos from our Saturday conversation, pretty much outlaying the picks for. We talked about Sandhagen Dillashaw. We talked about Kyler Phillips, and Raleigh and Pava, Macy Barber, Miranda Maverick. Obviously, we talked about Darren Elkins, Derek Minner a little bit. What else did we talk about? Obviously, Adrian Yanez, Randy Costa. We talked about that. I'll be putting out some angles on that. I'll have like a full preview for Sandhagen Dillashaw with like I said, those individual betting trends. That'll be coming out all within the next 24 hours on combatodds.ca. And then sitting there right now, we're looking ahead to UFC 265. There's odds on there. There's even picks on there. And yeah, so hit that up. And then for all the best bets, I've got best bets that are already out there for UFC 265, UFC Vegas 33. I keep saying UFC 33, which is not accurate. UFC Vegas 33. Eventually these will come out, but these are the super look ahead plays. So it's not that much. It's literally $5 a month, and you're just supporting a good cause. You don't have to. It's a new thing that I figured I'd start. And then again, if you like this setup, if you ever want to try to do something like this yourself, StreamYard is very, very, very easy, awesome beginner program. If you want to ever try to use this, use our promo link, tinyurl.com, combat odds, HQSY. You get like $10 off your first month. You support them, you support me, good stuff. So yeah, if there's not any other questions, we are going to get out of here, and we'll see you on Friday afternoon at noon for the weigh-in show. So yeah, talk to you later, guys. Thanks a lot.